back to Royalty Soaps. Today I am making a rainbow soap and I will be sharing a few little tips with you in case you want to make one. These are very, very, very popular right now. I see a lot of people doing rainbow soaps and I think I've kind of developed a method to get the colors to stay very potent and very vibrant and not tend to bleed back into the pastel. Now if you're going to be making this yourself, you're going to need to use a recipe that is similar to probably a Bastille recipe. High olive oil content is definitely something I would recommend simply because it's going to allow your soap to be able to be mixed for longer. When you're doing more than about 3 colors, you really want to have that workable time. And also because whenever you use lots of oils like palm and coconut and stuff like that, it makes a white bar of soap. And white bars of soap are absolutely beautiful, but when you're trying to make really potent colors and really bring out colors like oranges and yellow and red, the things that tend to kind of fade into pastel anyway, you don't want to have a bar that's going to be completely white. You kind of want something that, if left on its own, would sort of go a yellowy color. At least that's what I have found works for me. If you have a recipe that you really like, that you think really holds that color in really well, awesome, use that. So I'll be sharing with you the colors that I use for my rainbow soap, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first thing to do is to tell you which colorants I'm using. So for the purple, I'm using 2 teaspoons of Nurture Soap Supplies Vibrant Purple. That's all that's in there. And then for the blue, I'm using 2 teaspoons of Nurture's Brilliant Blue Mica. And then for the red, I'm using 1 teaspoon of Red 40. I really have got to get better about saying the correct colorant while filming at the same time. This is actually Red 30, not Red 40. But don't worry, I will be leaving a link to the correct colorants in the description box below. And that is from TKB Trading, and 1 teaspoon of Raspberry Red from Nurture Soap. And then over here in the green, I'm using 2 teaspoons of Nurture Soap Green Vibrance, and then 1/4 of a teaspoon of the reformulated Neon Green from TKB. That's just kind of to stabilize the green a little bit. And then in the yellow, I'm using 1 teaspoon of Sunshine Yellow, 1 teaspoon of Vibrance Yellow, and those are both from Nurture Soap Supplies, and then 1/4 of a teaspoon of True Yellow from TKB. And then also in here I'm using 1/4 of a teaspoon of reformulated Neon Orange. That is just kind of to stabilize the orange in here. And then 2 teaspoons of Nurture Soap Orange Vibrance Mica. I have now poured all of the soap into the individual buckets. So I'm going to just put a little bit of my fragrance oil into the first color, which is purple. The fragrance I have chosen today is from Nature's Garden Candles. It is the Fruity Rings fragrance. This is a very, very, very important part. Be sure to mix up your micas in there really good. Now shake off the excess. And go ahead and stick your blender into the next pot. Woo! I'm hooked! Oops. Okay, well, for me that's not an option, but for everyone else, you need to stick that into the next pot. My extension cord does not run that long. So I'm going to scrape up any other mica that might have got left on the bottom. I like to pre-measure my micas out first into the buckets because it makes time management a lot easier. Now some people like to dump it in on top. I just don't do that just because of the time. Now I'm going to pour this into my molds. I'm not going to show you all that. Y'all know what it looks like to pour soap into a mold evenly. Now here's the purple in the mold, and I'm going to do something I haven't seen a lot of people do, which is to put a layer of rubbing alcohol on top. Don't make it a thick layer, just lightly spritz it and leave it just like that, because it's going to help harden up that top so that when you pour the next layer, it won't seep in and go into the purple. Next is the blue. Also, as you're doing this, make sure you're scraping the sides, because that's where the mica likes to get hooked. You can see I'm pulling some off the sides now. If you have 6 spatulas, go ahead and use them. I don't have 6 spatulas, so I'm having to recycle. Okay, now for the tricky part, which is to pour this next layer without it bleeding into the bottom one. Now, like I said, that rubbing alcohol helps kind of create a barrier between your layers. And again, this is cold process soap. This is not melt and pour. It works for both, believe it or not. I found that through various testing. So I'm just going to pour as gently as I possibly can onto my spatula and just move it and kind of dump the soap where you want it. Using the spatula, not using the pitcher that your stuff is in. You're guiding this with the spatula, not the pitcher. Try to avoid the sides if you can. If you can't, oh well. Now the edges, as you bring it closer to yourself, are always harder to do. Normally when I'm not filming, I turn the soap around or go stand on the other side. Now that's not an option for me today, obviously, but if that's an option for you and you can turn the soap around, do. It'll make it easier on yourself. Now if you can check and see if your first layer is ready to be poured on, do, just by lightly putting your finger in. If your finger leaves an indentation, I wouldn't recommend pouring just yet. Let it sit for a little while longer. Now for this side, I'm just putting the soap directly on my spatula and ladling it in because, like I said, it isn't an option for me to stand on the other side because I'm filming. Oh, the things I sacrificed for y'all. I'm just kidding. But yeah, do stand on the other side if that's an option. Now I have done all the colors except this last one, which is red, because I figured you guys would want to see the red. It's very important to get this one mixed up thoroughly. Okay, so you can see the orange there. Now to put the crowning glory on top. Oops, I didn't spray it. Sorry, hold on. We're gonna have to spray this a little first, then I'll put it on top. As you can see, that orange is very bold. That neon really helps with that. Another thing that will really help keep your colors looking vibrant is for your soap to go through gel phase. So I have added milk to this particular batch. Hopefully it heats up pretty good and my soap does end up going through gel phase. So I'm ladling the soap onto the orange just like I have with all the other layers. Now I know I didn't show them, but it's kind of a repetitive process. You saw me do it with the blue, and I just kept doing the same thing on up through the green and the yellow and the orange, and I didn't want to bore you guys. And so once I finish here, then I'm going to get ready for the piping on top. Now you can see I have put a layer of white on. I am going to be using a very round and big tip for this one. My piping is still a little runny, but I'm trying to make this kind of look like clouds, so it isn't going to be really precise and perfect. It's just supposed to look kind of fluffy. I have not made one of these since I think last summer, so it's been a really long time since I've done this one. In fact, the last one that you guys saw me make was for the Fairytopia collection that I did, and that turned out really awful. Went completely wrong on me. So I guess it'd be nice to actually see one that turns out right. Now you can see these are not entirely even. Again, for this particular soap, it's not really important that I get all of these even. I'm just trying to make it look cloud-like and puffy. Now that I have piped the top, I will be adding all of the glitter. And I'm going to be using gold glitter on the top here. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like a leprechaun or something, you know, with the gold and the rainbows. So this first gold that I'm putting on is Gold Glitter by Nurture Soap Supply. Going to lavish this pretty generously on the top here. For me, the white, it's not as important for it to stay white on top. It's more important for it to be white when you cut it. That's just my personal preference though. Now as far as colors of glitter go, I tend to only use silver and different like types of silver, like perhaps holographic type silver, and then like just a regular old silver, and gold, just because it's really hard to find glitters that stand out with their colors and don't just look kind of beady otherwise. I don't know if that makes any sense to y'all, but I just find that when I use ultra fine glitters, they just don't show up very well. The colors don't show up very well. So that's some other gold glitter I had on hand. Now for the chunky gold glitter. Very sparkly. And now I'm going to put the colorful little bubbles on top. These have been colored with the same micas that I colored the middle with. That red was colored actually with a different one. It's from TKB. It's one of their liquid colorants. Next time I'll just use the same ones that I used before. Now that everything's on, I'm going to spritz this really good with some rubbing alcohol. I do not want the soap balls sweating on top. And we are finished. I hope you guys enjoyed the making of the soap. It's very glittery. Oh my gosh, I'm so addicted to glitter. It's just ridiculous. I will be coming back to cut this tomorrow, so I'll show you what the inside looks like with the colors. And we're back the next day, everybody. Now before I cut this, I'm going to show you the sides. And I told you in the video about wiping down the sides between the layers. This is why. Now this doesn't bother me, and that's why I didn't do it, but this will bother some people. So if this bothers you, you're gonna wanna go ahead and wipe down the sides between each layer. Right, so I've already cut the end off so that you could get a really good look at what it looks like inside. Now you can see the orange is still sort of a tangerine-y color. If you really don't want it to look like that and you want it to be more of a true orange, add a little bit of orange oxide to it. That really helps. I kind of like mine to look tangerine-y though, that's why I did that. You can see the yellow is really stabilized. Adding that neon yellow from TKB really helps with that. But again, if you're not really happy with this, you can add a little tiny bit of yellow oxide. Otherwise, don't mess with it. And then of course you can see the other colors are fine. And if this red is looking a little pinky, I like it like that. That kind of that cherry red color. But if you're going for a more true looking red, you can add a little more of the red oxide. And I hope this has been helpful to you guys. And again, the recipe is just as important as the colorants. It really is. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, found it informative and helpful. So until next time, bye for now.